Kia ora Terry and Vinca, this is Bevan Jones from EP. Just a quick video here on how you actually monitor the assessments. I'm sorry, when I last spoke to you I thought you were just doing the marking and stuff. I wasn't sure that you guys were actually doing the full invigilation. So there's a few things I just need to go over. First of all, I've set up the assessments already. So they're in the green assessments tab. You can see them waiting for you there. So the O3 standard and the O5 standard, each standard has a different access code. So on the board you have to put the name of each paper and the access code that students will need to get into that paper, but it is the same for both classrooms. And I have both classes in the same assessment, so that just affects the monitoring a little bit. The reason I've kept both classes together is for ease of marking, so you can go through and mark everyone's papers one after the other, and everyone's results will be all together there as well. When you click into either assessment, there's a couple of things I'll just go through. There's the monitor button on the the left-hand side here. It's not available now. It will be available when the exam actually starts. So I've got the start time as 1 PM tomorrow, and the end time as 4:15. The reason I've given an extra 15 minutes is just in case you start a little bit late. Having time for students to log in and get started on their assessment. Also, if any students need a little bit of extra time due to special assessment conditions. The assessment conditions themselves, each paper has 180 minutes, so that's the maximum time they are allowed for a particular paper. And students, as I say, have an access code there. They will be able to pause and exit the test if they need to go into a different standard, and you should be able to sort of monitor them throughout that process as well. Okay, so that is the setup there. What it will look like for you in terms of monitoring the assessment, so when the students come in, I'll just open up a different example here. This is not exactly what you'll see, but this is when an active assessment is running. So the assessments tab, this one here is underway. So that monitor button will be live. So I would click on that before students start the assessment, and as students start the assessment their names will appear in here that they've started, and you will have the access code there as well. You will need to click on monitor other assessments, because remember there's 2 assessments, one for each paper, so you'd have to go in and select the other standard that's also being assessed at that moment, and then that will give you the 2 different access codes at the top, and it will load all the students into that area. Whether they've started one paper or the other, their names will pop up here, and you'll be able to track them and make sure they're on task. So the things you need to look out for is if it says that they're not focused on the window, basically means that they've started an assessment and they've sort of clicked out of it without submitting it, and they haven't clicked the pause and exit button, so they potentially could be in another tab or something like that. That would also create an option where it says not in full screen mode. So I think as well as having this potentially on the board up the front of the room so students know that they're being monitored and they can see these details, you will also be able to wander around the room and actually keep an eye on their computer screens just to make sure they're moving between the assessments without looking up or going to any other areas on their computer. There's one other thing that I just need to talk about is the students that are in your class are the only ones that you'll want to monitor, so you won't want names of the other class that are in the other room popping up in here. It's okay if you keep them all together, but it just might be easier if you're just focused on the ones in your particular room. So I'm not sure either way whether it will bring up all students straight away or just your group, but if it's more than what you have in the room, then you'll need to change that. And you'll see that there will be the 2 classes here, and you'll just need to remove the other names of the other class so they're not in your monitor page. Hopefully that makes sense, and that will allow you to just focus on the students that are in your room in front of you. So that's not critical, but I think that might just make it a little bit easier. So I'll go through that again quickly. You obviously could watch it again, but when you click into, you'll have your 2 papers set up. If you click into either paper, then go to the monitor area. You can click on monitor other assessments to add the other paper in, so you're watching students across both papers, whether they start with one or the other. And then if you want to change the students you're viewing, you can click on change and just make sure that the other class in the other room, just make sure all those students are unticked. And that will mean that you're only monitoring the students in front of you. Hopefully that makes sense. Good luck. That monitoring area is where you need to be in once the assessment is underway. And there's only one other thing I probably should show you, is the force submit button and the lock button. If the worst case scenario happened and the fire alarm rang, it would be very good if you could click the lock button. That would lock everyone straight out of the assessment, and it would save their attempts where they're up to. And if you, after students came back in, you could click unlock and they could restart their assessment when they're up to without losing any time. So that lock button is there in case of emergencies in this case. And the other button is force submit. So if you do start exactly at 1 PM, then you could use that force submit button at 4 PM to close everyone's attempt where they're up to, so that they don't have any extra time up until that 4:15 period. Again, if you start at 1:05, you might want to hit that force submit button at 4:05, and that will submit everyone's papers. No matter if they're finished or not, it'll save their work and submit them for you, so you know that no one's having any extra time that they're not required to have. Right. Any other problems, get in touch. Just thinking the only other thing that might come up is if a student accidentally submits their paper, you should be able to click on their name, and there should then be an option to reopen that student's attempt. I'm just trying to find what that would look like here. Just add in. So Louise. Yeah, so there should be an option if a student does submit their paper, just because this assessment isn't, so no one's actually in there doing it at the moment. You should be able to click on their name and reopen their last attempt. So that's worst case scenario if they're halfway through their paper, decide to leave it but they haven't finished, and rather than clicking pause and exit, they click submit. You do have the ability to go in and reopen it for them if they make that mistake. Alright, if you want a quick run through in the morning, let me know. I'm free at 8 AM, so just need a cell phone number. I can give you a call and we could set up a wee Zoom again just to go through anything, or I'm free between sort of 9:30 and 10:30 too. Alright, thanks guys, good luck, see ya, bye.